Hey folks, today we're going to take a look at an NES clone that seems to be more compatible than the rest so far. It is the Gamerz Tech 8-bit entertainment system, NES console, a flashback to a bygone age. It's called the 8-bit entertainment system, I think, and here it is. It's a nice sort of glossy finish over this and the controllers that you can actually feel. This is a clone console that plays 97% of licensed Nintendo games. It does not play flash carts, which is unfortunate, and it only plays NTSC Nintendo games. So it's a little bit limited in that aspect, but the price is very, very little. It's between $17 to $25. I got this one on eBay for around $25. This seems like it's one of the few clones that's actually worth looking at. Because the video, as you'll see when I plug this in, as you'll see, the video that comes out of this thing is actually a little bit better than what comes out of the original Nintendo in some ways. Here you go. Here's the Gamerz Tech logo. 8-bit entertainment system. Here's what you get in the box. It comes with the control deck. Aha, harkening back to that era. You get 2 controllers, which is really nice. You don't get any built-in game. You don't get any games with it. Comes with an AC adapter and a stereo AV cable. Although it's not stereo because the system is not in stereo. Not sure why it says that. It also advises when using a flat-screen TV, please change your TV's video format / aspect ratio for 4:3 to 4:3 for best viewing. Be sure to change to 16:9 when done playing. Yeah, I recommend that because it won't stretch the games. This has very good advice on the back. Before placing game cartridge in console, clean it using rubbing alcohol with a Q-tip, cotton cloth, etc. Do not blow in game cartridge. Yes, this thing actually gives you really good advice. Don't blow in your game cartridges because your saliva causes corrosion. Not good for your games, folks. It even says down here, the Gamerz Tech 8-bit entertainment system is compatible with approximately 97% of licensed games. And I'm not a very heavy NES collector, so this is perfect for me. Because the few games I have over here will probably work on this system, as we'll find out once we open the box and take a look at it. So, without further ado, I think we should do that. Comes in a plastic shell, it looks like. Let me pull that out. And here's what you get. You get the console itself, which is very, very tiny. Like, seriously small. Here's my hand. Here's the console. We'll compare it with an NES2 later on. Under that, you get the controllers, which look very much like the originals, but of course they don't say Nintendo up there. Controllers are quite lightweight. Buttons don't feel too bad, though, which is good. D-pad has more travel than the original. Most of the buttons do. Generally, these controllers feel kind of cheap. You also get an AC adapter, which we're going to need. And you also get... They call this a stereo AV cable. It's not. It's a mono AV cable. So, yeah, not sure what the deal is there. So, there you have it. You don't get much. You just get this little 8-bit entertainment system. And all the accessories you need to play the games. So let's take a look at the console itself. It's very small. Here's an NES game and the console. It's actually the NES game is actually a little bit bigger than the console itself. So it's pretty small, which is really nice. I like I like how compact it is. Very, very nice and small. The plastic on this actually doesn't feel too bad. It doesn't feel really cheap and nasty. The only plastic that really does is the one for the dust shutter, but that's no big deal. The controller ports are sideways on these, as opposed to on the originals. So, there you go. You get your power and reset and an LED on the front, just like the original Nintendo. And the switches feel nice and high quality, too. Really heavy duty. And very clicky. I like that. I like the clicky part. The styling here resembles the VCR style original NES. So they did really well with that there. It looks really nice. On the back, of course, you have your QC Pass sticker, and you have your power and AV. And the nice part is, just like the original Nintendo model, it just uses straight up RCA connectors without any multi-outs or anything like that. No proprietary connectors whatsoever, just plain Jane standard stuff, which is really nice. Here's an NES Model 2 for a comparison. This was Nintendo's attempt to make their NES more compact. This clone system is even more compact since this uses a system on a chip design, whereas this didn't. It actually used a separate CPU and PPU, whereas this uses everything on one board, one chip, I think. So, there you have it. Actually, yeah. This thing is tiny. Have I made that clear yet? Nice thing is, as opposed to this, for turning the game on, just you have to notice that this is up. There's no LED, but on this, there is an LED on it. So, there you have it. So, I've seen videos of this console in action already on Gamester81's channel, and the results are pretty promising, actually. So, yeah, it's an NES clone. I paid $25 for it. These go for quite a bit on eBay, so I could sell this and recoup the money I spent buying this, and still end up being able to play my collection of games. Now, if you're a purist, I don't recommend doing that, but if your main focus in your collection is not the 8-bit era, but you still want to play the games and don't want to spend a lot of money to do it, and you can't seem to find an NES at a yard sale anywhere, this is always an option. Either permanently until you can find a real NES of your own. So, you know, if you just want to play games and want to worry about getting a genuine NES later or not at all, this is a good option, it seems. This looks to be a pretty good option. Not so sure about the controllers, but the system itself seems like a pretty good option, and I think we should give it a test. Okay, I have the system set up on the ground here, and I've plugged one of these stock controllers in to see how it is. Feels kind of cheap, but maybe it'll work. We'll find out. Very, very tiny system. I'm going to stick a cartridge in. Actually, let's take a look at the cartridge slot first. Quite a bit more open than what I'm used to seeing. I would open this system, but it has a 1-year warranty, which is pretty sweet, so I'm definitely going to keep that going. But we can take a look at the cartridge slot. Pretty typical slot there. So it's a top loader slot. You won't have issues with bad connections like in the original VCR style NES or anything like that. Just like with the top loader, you won't even have to worry about it. So there you go. Okay, so hook up the system here. Just hook it up with AV cables and power cable. Hook up the stock controller so that we can see how it is. I have this one hooked up. The buttons have a lot more travel than the Nintendo ones do, so I'll see if that actually sucks to use or not. So, what happens when you turn it on with no game in it? Let's find out. You get a bunch of crap. Nice. So the thing does work. So I'm going to stick Mario Brothers / Duck Hunt in there. Very tight cartridge slot, so you can tell that's brand new. Alright, so let's start this and see how it performs. Hearing a lot of hum for some reason. Not a huge fan of that. But it seems to work just fine. Let me turn the volume down. So let's try Mario Brothers. This does appear to have jail bars, but the jail bars aren't nearly as bad as on my top loader, believe it or not. They're the vertical lines that go up and down the screen there, and they're nowhere near as bad as they are on my top loader, so that's kind of an improvement. The colors are really vibrant on this system, which is crazy. The saturation of the color is pretty intense, so that's pretty cool. That does look pretty good when you have it on the right TV. Doesn't look that great on this TV, but that's because this is a cheapo TV. If you have a TV that can reproduce color better than this one can, the saturated colors might actually look very appealing to you. Let's try playing a game of Mario and see what it sounds like and what it looks like and how it performs. The sound is different. Yeah. Yeah, the sound is completely different than it is on a normal NES. Colors are more vibrant, graphics are more or less the same. Yeah, the sound of jumping is just weird to me. That's really strange. The controller works really well. Yeah, the sound is a bit weird on these, but it plays the games perfectly. Yeah, the sound is very much different, but the performance is exactly the same. Well, I got fireworks. Yeah, the sound is very odd on this clone console to me. So if I were going to record audio off of a console, it would not be this one. I would use a real NES for that, but this is more than adequate to play the games. It plays them just fine. It's just that the sound isn't completely normal. But not so much that it's completely unplayable. I mean, it sounds good enough to play the games. It's not like there's static and broken stuff everywhere, so... Yay! I'm running around the scoreboard. Anyway, that's what a game like Mario Brothers would look like on a system like this. It seems to look and play great. It just sounds different. The sound is not bad, it's just not the same as the original NES. It's almost like part of the sound is missing. Not instrument wise, but literally frequency wise. It's a little bit different. So now I'm going to put in my favorite NES game, RC Pro-Am, and we'll see what that plays and sounds like. See, it sounds different, but it doesn't sound that bad, really. It sounds fine, it just doesn't sound the same. And, really, that's totally passable in my eyes. So let's try actually playing a game. The picture out of this looks great. Oh yeah, the color out of this game is beautiful. Yeah, those of you familiar playing with this game, the screeching tire sound is completely different. But it doesn't take away from the gameplay at all. The gameplay is perfect. My gameplay's rusty because I haven't played this game in a couple of years, but... That's my horn. Yeah, it's almost like the mid-range portion of the sound, or at least part of the mid-range, is just not there. And that's why it sounds the way it does. Sounds like that screeching sound. Sounds a bit hollow compared to the original Nintendo. So we've established this thing can play licensed games, or at least 90% of the licensed games, no problem. It seems to play them well, definitely well enough for me. But let's see how unlicensed games play. Or if they play at all, rather. Okay, so I have Bible Adventures. This is a Wisdom Tree or Color Dreams game. And it says that this thing plays 97% of licensed Nintendo games. Let's see if it will play one of these Color Dreams games. It does! Okay, it does seem to play on some unlicensed games as well. It does work with homebrews, from what I've been told. So, if you like homebrew games, this will work with them. The colors are actually really good on this. I have a cow. I have a cow. I have a cow. I have a cow. I'm gonna throw the cow at the ox. Oh. How do I throw? Aw, whatever. Anyway, Color Dreams games work, so we know that much. Second one I want to try is one of these Tengen games, or Tengen games. I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's Pac-Man. So let's see if a Tengen game will run on this particular system. Yes, it does. Yeah, Pac-Man plays no problem on this system, so it seems the unlicensed games that I happen to own do work on here. So the compatibility in my collection is pretty much 100%, which I'm very happy about. I'm bad at Pac-Man. Very bad. I'm gonna die. Wow, that Pac-Man dying sound did not sound normal. So yeah, games seem to work just fine in this console. Forgive me, I have the camera plugged in. Even the unlicensed ones. This console seems to do very well. It has high compatibility. The stock controller is actually pretty good. It's not as good as the original Nintendo one, but it actually is pretty good. It's responsive and works just fine. So, seems like a pretty good clone console. So the Gamerz 8-bit entertainment system seems like a pretty good clone console. The only thing that I noticed that's glaringly weird with it is the audio. The audio is a bit different, but it's not so different that it ruins gameplay. The only thing it would ruin for me is recording the audio of a game. I would not use a clone system to do that. I would use an original NES VCR style, rather. But this is more than good enough for playing games. So if you want to get started collecting NES games but don't want to spend a lot of money to play them, or you want a test console, or you just want a cheap way to get into the hobby, this is a pretty good option, especially if you're just into the more popular titles of games, such as the Mario Brothers games and most of the licensed Nintendo games will work just fine on here. PAL games won't, and Flash cartridges won't, I know that much. So overall, the Gamerz 8-bit entertainment system seems like a pretty good clone system. Really, the only thing with it is the sound. So, there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have a good one, everybody. Ciao.